Tiara,
Hello, this is Ali.
and this is the Goddess Vibration. Welcome. We've decided to record video for this session because we understand that oftentimes when you hear a voice, you want to see the face behind that voice. So you're welcome.
Today, we are going to pick up where we left off last week. We are going to talk about celebrity connections.
And I'm
We,
really
ig-
excited about this topic because we get to talk about, I'm going to say it, celebrity twin flames. I'm just going to throw that in there. We're going to talk a lot about that and some of the misperceptions around that concept because boy, are there a lot of them. But that's going to be one of the things we're going to discuss. And so I just wanted to throw that in there because it's almost like this forbidden thing in the spiritual community. I don't know why.
Forbidden? Would you go as
Well,
far
I
as
mean, it's
say
like,
forbidden?
I don't know, not forbidden, but like this, I don't know, like taboo thing where like there are people who swear up and down that a celebrity is their twin flame when we just like in the last episode talked about how incredibly rare that is. So I feel like there's still like this need, even when it comes to celebrities, to just clarify that, it's likely not what you think it is. That's all.
I also want to say that, like, I know for certain, like, I've seen this, it's very common where I see a mass population being obsessed with one celebrity, and you all think that they're your celebrity twin flame or celebrity connection. And I just want to throw it out there that you can only one of you, one lucky person gets to be that person's either twin flame or divine connection.
Oh, don't tell them that, Allie, because we're going to get messages and hate mail. You know what? I'm not worried about the hate mail or the messages. I don't care. You know what? You want to send us hate mail and messages? Fine. Do it. We don't care. But, like, I know how people are when it comes to this topic, and they're just people are just they're rigid and they want to hold on to that fantasy and that belief, but we're here to pop that bubble for you guys. And you know what? We're doing you a service.
I mean, I just want to say that it doesn't mean that you're not soulmates with that person. If you go back and listen to our last episode, it doesn't mean that you're not soulmates with that person, but in terms of like being a twin flame or have a divine counterpart, it's only one lucky person. But that doesn't mean that you're not connected in other ways such as soulmates.
Mm-hmm. So I think we talked about soulmates, kindred spirits, karmic connections, twin flames, divine counterpart connections, and that ultimately at the end of the day, there's an unlimited, infinite number of energetic connections at different frequencies that exist. So we're just talking about the ones that we know of as humans when there are many, many more out there. So please also keep that in mind.
Yes. So let's dig in to this. Okay. So let's start with what is a celebrity connection? A celebrity connection is a very complex situation. I think only just due to the sole fact of they're a celebrity and you may not be a celebrity. It would be easier to meet if you both were celebrities, but in many cases, that's not true.
Yes. And that's where this type of connection gets really, really tricky because like I know that there are some of you out there who are like convinced that you have this connection with this individual who has a public profile. Like we get it. It feels real. You might be dreaming about them. You might like hear messages from them. You might see visions of them. We're not here to say that that's not something you're experiencing because yes, that's very real and that's something that a lot of people do experience. But it's really important to understand that these connections might serve a very specific purpose and that you not feed into a fantasy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe there's a lesson, or maybe your souls had some type of connection in a past life. Maybe there's karma between your souls. Maybe there's something that you both need to learn or discover. um, through this connection. It might mean you might meet in the physical or it might not. My advice is if you're feeling like you have some type of connection like this and it's a public person, to go to someone who can read the Akashic records, because that's how you will know for certain whether this is real or whether it's just you fantasizing and obsessing over, you know, such and such celebrity. And we did mention that in the last podcast. I do want to repeat it again that the best way to know for sure is to go to the Akashic records. Just someone who can read them, or even someone like me or Ali who can like at least talk to your spirit guides and get some clarity.
And I also just want to throw out there that from last episode too, like a lot of this information that we're sharing from you comes from our channeling sessions that we do.
Okay.
And it is really important to build your intuition to learn like what resonates and what doesn't for you. Uh Tiara and I both have celebrity connections in our soul family, and that's really where these soul connections come from. And it's not because it's a soul, it's at the soul level. It's not at the incarnate level. And so when we're a part of a soul family, like we both are part of soul families, and I can tell you in this incarnation, like for me personally, that two members of my soul family just so happen to be celebrities in this lifetime. And I think Tiara, you have how many?
Well, technically four. So I'm a soul family of seven. Okay, so it's really complicated. Technically, wait, seven? Seven, yes. I'm a split soul. So there's me, and then there's the other half, and we count as one. So technically it's six. It's ridiculous and complicated, and it's a whole other podcast. But yes, so there are technically four individuals in my soul family who have public profiles. Um, one of whom is my divine counterpart. And we have a lot of karma from prior lives that we are going to need to focus on clearing in future lives. Um, and then, so Ali, and so you have two out of five in your soul family?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Speaking
one
of
of
soul
them
family,
and one of them is my divine counterpart.
okay, yeah. So like we're similar circumstances, um, which is so funny because I never really dreamt about him. Like he didn't come in my dreams. Like I didn't get messages from him. I did get like energetic stuff occasionally from him. And I remember going to like, I don't know who it was, like my guides or tarot, and being like, is there some type of connection between me and this individual? And tarot was like, no, you're crazy. And I was like, okay. Turns out tarot will lie to you guys. If you do tarot, if they feel like it's not in your best and highest good to know, they'll send you on a goose. What do we call it? A wild goose chase. Tarot will
Yes.
send you on a wild goose chase if they feel like it's not in your best and highest good to know at that time, which I hate. I hate it. But later it came out that yes, indeed, we did have a soul connection. So I would advise you guys, if you didn't listen to our last Divine Connections podcast episode, to please go back and listen to it, because there are some very profound channeled messages in there from my angel guide and also from Shakti, who clarified soul family, divine connections, the different types versus soulmates, and the purposes that they serve. And it's actually very, very valuable. And it helps set the stage for this discussion.
So, can you share a little bit about how you found out that these people were your soul family?
Oh, goodness, how did I find out about that? That is a story. So, my divine counterparts had a public profile that the gentleman I was referencing. And when he passed away, I want to say maybe about 2 weeks after his passing, he connected to me. And it was interesting because I was following the discussion about his death, and like I saw that he had a pretty big following, and so I was kind of seeing what some of the people were saying, and then I felt really bad for his family. So I went online to one of their profiles, and I was just typing like, my respects. I'm so sorry. I had been following him for many many years. Like I followed his Facebook for like 10 years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
just following, watching, and observing. I never really interacted or spoke to him because something in me was like, don't do that. I've come close a couple times to like sending him something, but something was just like, don't do that. I don't know why, but it just, I don't know. So I was sending my condolences to his family, posted that online. And like maybe a couple days after that, he comes through and he indicates that he is such and such. And I'm just like, wait a minute. So this is at a time when my mediumship was just starting to blossom. So I was like, okay, I need validation. If you're saying that you're this individual, you need to show me something, proof or evidence that you are who you say you are. So he did. And I went online and confirmed it. And then I was just like, oh shit, what do I do with this? Right? Like what? Like what is happening? And so I spent some time like kind of getting to know him. And then he was telling me all these things about like past lives. And then I asked him about the circumstances of his death, and he gave me specifics, like
Oh, wow.
details that I don't think the public really knew, but that resonated. And so I was just like, man, what am I supposed to do with all this information? And then gradually over time, well, first off, before I even got to that part, I started to think I was crazy. I think I talked to Ali about this. I was like, Ali, am I losing my shit? Am I losing my shit? I don't know what's happening. Um, and so I went to a mediumship course. That's right. I went to a mediumship course and I was like, I just need to make sure I'm not crazy.
Right.
But when I went there, the medium picked up on his energy and described him to a T. And I was like, okay, he's here. This is real. Uh, so gradually stuff started coming out and I started seeing visions of some of our past lives. I
Mhm.
started seeing the karma that was there. I started to put it all together. It started to make more sense. And I was just like, oh, we've got history. Um, so it's just we've still been unraveling a lot of that. I think at this point we kind of know the gist of the history that's there and what needs to be done. Um, I still talk to him, pretty regularly. But we're healing and from our past and from the hurt that we've committed because we did like hurt each other a lot in past lives. So we're healing from that and trying to move forward. And I think so far we're in a pretty good space. Um, I think for the most part, everyone in my soul family needs healing in their own different way. So that's kind of where we are right now. As far as the other three celebrities, one is connected to him. Two others have pretty big profiles. I found out that they were family because I had dreams about them. I think I told you, Ali, the first dream I had about one of them.
Yes.
And I was just like, what? Then I had another one about them. And I was just like, okay, there's something here energetically. Let me look into it. That's when I went to Tarot and then I asked Tarot, hey, are these guys soul family or is there a soul connection? And Tarot told me yes. That got validated for me when they came to my state. I didn't know that they were in my state, but I kept thinking about them. And I was just like, why am I thinking about these two? So I Google, and online it says that they are in my states for like the next couple days. And I was like, that's why. So that kind of put it all together to me like, yeah, there's this soul connection, soul family here. And I acknowledge that and I accept them as soul family. And they come through to me. I've talked to them, I've spoken to them. So that's how I found out on my end.
Crazy. It's so
Not crazy.
crazy. Well, it is crazy because it's like if you can just build your intuition just tells you a lot. It tells you a lot about your life. It tells you a lot about past lives. And that's really kind of how I figured out my two as well. Like one of them came through in meditation, and I was not a very good meditator, and all of a sudden I am in this weird I think it's REM, like the wave REM where you're like partially asleep or partially awake, and all of a sudden I hear someone calling out my name and I was like, "Who is this?"
Oh,
And they said, "I'm such and such." And I was just like, "No, that's not true. That can't be true." And they were like, "No, it really is us." And ironically enough, because I have the ability to, like, dream walk or quantum jump, I ended up dreaming about this person all night, and we're having this whole, like, meeting and session around, like, healing and career and direction, and I was just like, "Okay, this isn't real." But then I woke up and I realized, "Okay, this really is real," because I went to tarot, and tarot was, like, validating, like, "Yes, you do have a connection with this person. Yes, you they are soul family, and yes, they are who they say they are." And I need, like at that time, I need, like, triple validation. So, like, I'm, like, going to
Oh,
my
yeah.
guides, I'm, like, asking my guides, and they're like, "I don't know why you keep asking this, but yes, it's all true." So that's how one of them came through to me, and for the other one, I was just watching a YouTube clip, I'm not gonna tell you which one, and all of a sudden, like, my soul was like, "You know that person," and I was like, "No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't." And I went to Tiara and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Something inside of me is telling me, you know this person." And Tiara was just like, "No, no way. Like, there's no way." And so I had her actually do the whole tarot reading, and she comes back and she was like, "You know this person." And I was just
I
like,
remember
"Okay."
that. I
Yeah,
remember that.
right?
It was like a bunch of big cards too, and I was just like, Ali."
I know. And it took me probably a year and a half, guys, like, a year and a half to, like, accept it and believe it. Like, I was in half denial, like, I half believed it, I was half in denial about it, and I was just like, "There's just no way." And then, like, after this year and a half finally passed, things started to, like, become more clear, and I was just like, "Holy shit, like, this is real. Like, this is real. I don't know how this is real, but it's real." And it wasn't until I started connecting in our channeling sessions to, like, his soul and his higher self, and he's, like, validating all of this stuff for me, and I'm just like my jaw is, like, dropping to the ground, and I was like, "Holy shit." And then, like, come to find out, like, our souls have known each other for a very long time, and he and I have a very important mission in this lifetime, and then I kind of figured out how he became a celebrity in this lifetime, and I just, like, all this information just blew my mind. I could not believe
I just wanna add that can I say this? Can I say that they're sexy? Because 'Cause they're sexy. They're both sexy.
it. Wait, both of them?
Yes,
Okay,
they're
sure.
both sexy. They're both
Okay.
so sexy. I just wanted to add that because yeah.
I mean, Tiara
Um,
definitely has some sexy members in her family too.
it's true, I do. They are white, beautiful. Um, which is interesting because I think that my soul family specifically is learning a very specific lesson about how to be humble. Um, because I think it's a lesson that we, in different ways, all needed. Which, like, if you were to see my soul family, it would make sense. Um, so, but yeah, no, I have many crushes on Ali's divine masculines. Any woman would.
Okay. Well, no, they are very sexy. I can't deny that. They are. So, as I mentioned before, I said, like, I was really shocked to learn about their like how they became celebrities in this lifetime, and I can say that we've talked about reincarnation before. Like, I know I've touched briefly on it, and I say, like, before you incarnate, you meet with your spirit team, soul team, no, your
Hmm.
spirit team.
Yeah,
And it was like set in stone because this is a very interesting time in history right now. And it was like set for us that they were just like, you know what? You guys are going to incarnate together like, in the physical, but one of you needs to be a celebrity. And ironically enough, I'm older than my divine counterpart, and apparently I didn't even think about it. I just said no. I was like, "Nope, don't wanna be the celebrity." And they were like, "Okay, you're not gonna be the celebrity," meaning my divine counterpart was going to be the celebrity. And I came to find out later, like, why one of us had to be the celebrity, and it really was the sole purpose of spreading a message about, like, surrendering and love, because that's really what's gonna get us through this ascension process, because there is just so much fear in the world, like, fear-based and anxiety and control, and that's kind of what keeps us locked into this matrix, as we call it. And so we were sent on very specific missions, and his mission was to spread the message of love and surrender and positivity.
Mm, that's actually really beautiful.
It is.
Um, on my end, I do know that two of the souls chose celebrity. I feel like if I do this, it's gonna reveal who they are, and I feel some kind of way about it.
Well, I mean, she did give you permission before we started.
That's true. Um, so this, like, heads up, you guys. A lot of the stuff that we share, we do get permission from the souls to share.
Mm.
These two particular individuals in my soul family chose that to bring awareness to divine connections and the power of such connections and the importance of surrendering to such connections, which is actually like very noble. Now, have they achieved that? I guess that's debatable. But I know that that's was the purpose for why they chose celebrity status. And apparently it's a cycle that they've been in for a while, but haven't mastered yet. So I'm hoping in this lifetime that they can really master that, because it's important. And, I think it's important that we learn that with these type of connections, the key to navigating them is to surrender to the love and surrender to, the lessons, which like no one does. But that's the key to navigating these lessons and these connections. So you'll hear us talk a lot about surrender and how important and significant it is because it really, really is. And those of you who are in these divine counterpart connections that feel like twin flame connections, oftentimes there's a struggle because no one wants to surrender. So when no one chooses to surrender, that's when you get the running and the chasing and the triggering and like all this stuff. Whereas if you would just stop fighting the connection, stop fighting with yourself and surrender to the love, like it would just be so much
Right.
easier. But again, humans will be human. So it's a very difficult, tricky connection to navigate for a lot of us, myself included, because I ran my ass off when I connected to my divine. So when I say I ran, so this is in regards to my split soul, because I met my split soul in like 2010, 2011, which felt like a twin flame connection. It felt just like it. The intensity, the power, like the connection was all there. And my ass ran hard. Like, I don't even think I said bye. I didn't say bye. I ghosted his ass and
You did
I
it.
like put on my cleats and I was a track star. And I tell you, I was a track star with the hurdles and I cleared them fast, which was terrible. And I have since had to come to terms with what I did and how that affected him, which has been eye opening for me. Um, but that is an example of what you're not supposed to do. TR knows that's not what you're supposed to do. So I just wanted to share that experience because I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that whole running and chasing dynamic because it's a hot mess on acid.
It is a hot mess, and I can't say that I've ever ran from any of my divine masculines because I do have 4, but 2 of them have public profiles, but I have been in denial about the connections, which
Mm,
denial is not exactly the same as running, but denial is still denial, right? And it sets doubt, and it sets all these different emotions that can keep you from surrendering and can ultimately keep you from unioning if union is supposed to be happening in this lifetime. If it's in your soul contract to union, there are many different ways to union, but you will not get there, especially if your person has a public profile, if you do not trust in the other person, trust in their journey, and surrender to the universe.
Right. Um, and we were talking about the challenges of having a divine counterpart as a celebrity. I could see why it would make union questionable in that type of situation because, again, oftentimes these are people you don't have any connection to in the physical. Like you can't talk to them, you can't call them, you can't text them, you can't message them. It's all etheric and energetic. So it's like, well, how can you trust in union that that will happen with that individual when the circumstances are what they are? That is very difficult to navigate. And my heart goes out to you guys who have those celebrity divine counterparts because it messes with your head. It does. When I met my split soul, we were both married to other people. And when I say it messed with our head, like I can't begin to describe the conflict and the um, overwhelm and the questioning that you do, wondering if you're a bad person, wondering if you've done something wrong, like wondering why you're in this scenario, situation that feels forbidden. How do you surrender to that? I still don't quite know the answer to that. I'm still navigating through that. Um, so I could see why surrendering in the case of my divine counterpart is a celebrity would be very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And Ali can attest to that, and I can attest to that too.
It is really difficult only because, like, especially if you do get access to your records or if you get the information channeled from one of your spirit guides specifically who can validate that, like, when you find out, yeah, you are supposed to union, it's just like, how is that possible? Like, how is that even possible? Like, they are who they are, and I am who I am, and they're and it's so funny because your guidance team is just like, "Well, you just have to trust us. You just have to trust the universe." It's just it's so out of a person's control. It's not in the celebrity's control, it's not in my control because the celebrity doesn't even know I exist, right? But I know that they exist, I know who they are. And, like, if you talk to your guides, it's just the number one advice they'll just say to you over and over again is, "Well, trust the universe, trust us, surrender to the love, surrender to the trust." And that's really I'm learning that is really all you can do is surrender because you can't control it. You can't control meeting them, you can't control communicating with them. It's gonna be one of those freak accidents, like, not accidents, but, like, freak run-ins, like, it's gonna be kind of like, I don't know, pending on how the interaction goes with the celebrity, it's kind of like a fairy tale. It's just like one of those things where it's like, you're gonna meet them when you least expect it, and you're gonna have this connection that neither one of you can explain, and it's just gonna be one of those, like, fairy tales.
By the way, I know that surrender is very like amorphous. It's like, well, what surrender? Like, I know for me, I had to learn what surrender meant because when I say surrender and when Ali says surrender, we don't mean like saying, this will never happen. I give up. I'm done. I surrender. That's not that's not what we mean. It's easy to confuse that because the term surrender in and of itself means to submit and to like in some cases like you know give give up or give up the fight, give up the battle, but that's not what we're talking about. um so surrender, ultimately what it means is that you trust that the universe will provide to your deepest desires and will fulfill all your wishes and deepest desires. And you trust in that 100% complete. So if your desire is union with your twin flame or divine counterpart, as it's likely a divine counterpart, not a twin flame, but anyway, if that's what you're wanting, surrender means that you trust that you will get to that and trust the journey to get to that. You don't fight, you don't resist, You don't run, you don't chase, you submit. And you submit to the lessons, you submit to everything. That's what surrender is. So I just wanted to clarify that because I did struggle a lot with what surrender meant. It took me years to figure out, wait, this is surrender, not that. That's why I haven't made any progress. But anyway, but so yeah, so that's we just want to clarify that, you know. I hope that helps some people because I know that that was a struggle for me for a while. I don't know if it was for you too, Allie.
It was. I would definitely say that surrendering is like the hardest part of any journey, whether it's to union, whether it's for ascension, whether it's anything, right? Like you are trusting, like that's really the only way that you are going to escape the matrix is through surrendering. And Tiara and I are learning this lesson firsthand in big ways where, our guides are just like, you guys are not made for the matrix. You guys are not built for the matrix. And we
Hmm.
want you to uproot your lives and change
Oh
everything about
yeah.
your life and just surrender to the universe and trust us that you are going to be on the right path. You're going to live your purpose, whether that's in regards to career, whether that's in regards to your union, whether that's in regards to where you're supposed to live. I don't know. It's just the universe has a plan for us, and they are going to continue to push us in that direction until we completely surrender.
And Allie and I are really lucky because we can channel, so we can hear all of this chatter in regards to what we're actually supposed to be doing. And they will tell us if we're not doing what we're actually supposed to be doing. So for me, I could relate to that whole uprooting my life because that's literally what they're asking of me to uproot my job and uproot where I live, make a huge, huge move that I haven't even fathomed until like 2 weeks ago. Huge move, like no questions asked, and trust that everything's gonna work out fine. Yeah, I don't know, really hard. So I'm still working on that. Uh, but yeah, it's a process. It's a journey. I'm working on surrender. I told myself last night I'm gonna surrender to everything. I was having this whole conversation with my spirit guide, and we were talking about that. So I'm getting there, but it's a lot, especially when they're asking big stuff like this. So, ultimately, I have to surrender because if I don't, it's going to be a battle. And I don't want to fight with the universe. It's the fucking universe. It could do anything to me. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna surrender and I'm just gonna trust that everything will be for my best and highest good because that's just gonna be the best path forward.
It's really difficult, guys. We're not trying to say it's gonna be easy. It's not. Like, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. It's not. And there are people that carry higher frequencies like Tiara and myself, and we still struggle with it. So it's kind of like
Right.
if we're struggling with it, we know how you're feeling and what's going on with you.
Oh, yes. We were there too. Like, if you're 3D, 4D, trying to get to 5D, we've been there. We know what that journey is like. It is ugly. It's a lot, but we have the tools to help you get there if you really want the support. Um, I am a channeler and I am an intuitive and a spiritual coach, and Allie's also a spiritual coach. So, if you guys are like, hey, I just need that extra support, feel free to reach out to us. You know what I mean? We have a website, we have contacts on there, and we
Yeah.
can come up with a way to help you get to that next phase if you need that. So don't discount support and coaching and guidance if you need that. If you feel like you're stuck or you're
Yeah.
feeling like I don't know which way to go, like reach out for support from individuals who have gone through the journey because it's going to be helpful. Like and it's going to give you that boost and I did a little bit of that like when I was starting my spiritual journey. I did a reading for the Akashic Records. I had someone read my horoscope. I did a little bit of spiritual coaching, but I wish I would have done more. Like I really do wish I would have done more and paid more attention to that support and help that was out there. But I had too much pride and ego, and I was like, I can do it myself. I don't need it. And that was my ego getting ahead of me. Don't let that happen to you. if you know you need the help and support, go get it. Go get it because you might not have that opportunity ever again. So
I
I
think
just wanted to
I
share that.
I think we both have been there where we were just like, "No, we can do it ourselves." And I gotta say that
Yeah,
Tiara and I both we are so lucky that we had each other because
I
we
know.
both leaned on each other so much to get us through the craziness. And because we both are very high vibrational beings and because we both have done the journey and because we are above 5D at this point, we know that we can help people. Like I'm already helping clients with their ascension process and we just have between the two of us, I think we have every spiritual gift, really.
Probably.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, probably. And so we have access to the information. We can get the information. Neither one of us are Akashic record readers, but we can get the information because we channel from the universe and high frequency beings and such and such.
Yes, absolutely. So please do reach out or take advantage if you are like, I need some help. Um, don't feel like you need to do it yourself. That you need to do it all yourself. Don't let that ego tell you that. Like it's gonna hold you back. Like I'm
It
just gonna be
will.
honest with you.
It
Yeah, it
will.
held me back for years, thinking that I could do it better. It's something I've always felt. I'm a perfectionist, and I had at that time, like when I was back 3D, I was a perfectionist, and
So was I.
I got
So
my
was I.
worth from feeling like I could do it myself, that I knew better, that I was a badass because I could work 3 jobs and like sleep 2 hours a night and still have energy to go to the gym the next day. Like I drew worth and power from that, and until I burnt out, and that's when my awakening really kicked into gear. Is when I got to that phase of burnout. Like my sisters have similar stories. Like we've all burnt out in different ways, trying to fit into that hustle culture here in the United States, and like the pressure that that puts on you, even as a woman, to like have it all and do it all. But that belief and that construct is it's going to need to die and it's going to need to fall away because it's not healthy. And at these higher frequencies that are coming into the earth now, the hustle culture does not resonate. So um, we should probably make that a podcast, like hustle culture, stepping
No,
out
we
of that.
should.
No, we really should.
No, we absolutely should, only because, like, I would say, especially now, what I see, like, in social media, everyone is talking about burnout. Everybody's burnt
Yes,
out.
everyone, especially women. Like I've seen TikToks of women crying who are like, I can't do all this. And I don't know why we ever did this to ourselves. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Like,
we're tired.
burnout culture is so huge right now, and that's just because it's a cycle, right? Like inflation means, inflation and low wages equals people working 2 or 3 jobs just to put food on the
Mm,
table. And, people are living paycheck to paycheck. They're not getting ahead. People can't like fulfill their dreams and owning something. People are burnt out.
mm,
And unfortunately, I don't see it getting any better. I don't think it's going to get any better. And really, like, the reason why we talk about ascension so much and kind of just breaking free of the matrix is only because there is life beyond the burnout. There is life
mm.
beyond this craziness that society has basically instilled in us since we were children, telling us
Right.
like you're going to go to school until high school and then you're going to graduate and then you're going to go to college and then after college you're going to be in copious amounts of debt. And then you're going to be working until you're 65. And then if you're lucky, then you can retire. When I don't know, the average lifespan I think is like 73 in the United States and if you're working until 65, that gives you what, 8 years of freedom? Who wants to live like that? I'm just saying.
Right.
Just
I
saying.
know. And I don't want to live like that. And I knew early on, like, I don't know if it was my soul or whatever. I've tried a couple business ventures that have failed. I haven't given up. Never give up. Um, because I'm like, I need to get out of this. matrix and this 9 to 5. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I'm sick
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why the universe is kind of nudging me, because the universe is like, yeah, well, you're feeling that way for a reason. So fucking listen to us. And I'm just like, maybe I'll listen to you. Maybe I won't. And then I get like spited and, shunned and yelled at. But anyway, anyway, yeah, sometimes if you're feeling like that, it's for a reason. There's a
Right.
lesson there. There's a message there. Like, surrender to it.
And so that's really just kind of, I think we got a little off topic.
No, we really
But
did.
but just to kind of circle back to it all, I think it's just like divine connections and celebrity connections, like it's really all part of the ascension process and feeling connected to the universe and feeling connected to other souls that, just may not be in your inner circle. I think circling back to it all, it's just if you really build your intuition and trust yourself, and there's signs all around us, and if you pay attention to all of that, then I think you will become to realize that we really are all connected, right? It's like the
Mm,
universe always talks about oneness. I think it's like one of the universal laws is we are all one. And so we really are all energetically connected. It doesn't matter about, you have to take away the ego, you have to take away the physicality of it all. It's what I love is just feeling so connected to them. Even though they don't know who physically I am, I can still connect to them energetically, and I can connect to them in the astral. And it really is a beautiful experience to know that there's so much more that meets the eye. And I think that's really the purpose of us talking about this topic too, is because just because they have public profiles doesn't mean that our souls don't know each other. And if our
mm,
souls are connected to these celebrities, then who else are our souls connected to? And I think that's the mindset, and you need to broaden your horizons, and you need to open up your mind and just really look at the situation, look at the bigger picture and be like, okay, if I'm connected to this person, who else am I connected to? And I
mm-hmm,
think once we connect all the dots is when we discover that there's so much more that meets the eye. And that's really the message from the universe that they want us to portray.
mm-hmm. Definitely. Um, I just realized we've been talking for 42 minutes. We
Well,
try to keep the podcast
we're tying it up.
to like
40.
39 minutes, 40 minutes. And it's so funny because it's like we get into these podcasts and it's just like, oh my God, I have so much to say. So we say and say and say. But yeah, no, Ali's absolutely right. Like, and at the end of the day, if you really, really, really want to know, like, who's in your soul family, who these entities are, if there's a celebrity in there, the best way is going to be to go to a spiritual professional. Don't assume, because sometimes like we're not right, right? Like sometimes our ego wants to tell us one thing, when it's ultimately the soul that you should be listening to. But when you're in that phase of like really starting to ascend and heal, it's easy to allow the ego to sway you. So I always recommend going to a spiritual professional to find out for sure, for certain. Put your mind at ease, put your heart at ease. Is this person who I think they are? Get the facts, get the information, and then you'll know for certain. You'll know. Um, so I just wanted to add that last little tidbit.
Because that information is out there, whether it's in the Akashic or whether it comes from a divine channeler who can channel your guides, like that information is out there. Like, don't feel like you have to do it yourself, because we've been wrong. I've been wrong. Tiara's been wrong. But we definitely have ways to get that information and validate it.
Agreed. Agreed.
So, thank you guys for tuning in and bearing with us. This is our first time recording live.
Woohoo!
So this is really exciting for us. If you have any questions, just feel free to contact us. Go to our website, goddessvibrationstudio.com. And I have an email link. Tiara has an email link. And we just want to say thank you.
Yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. You know where to find our websites. Our podcast is also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. So please check us out, because there's a lot of other podcast episodes on there that might be helpful to you, including the one prior to this one, which, if you haven't listened to it, please do because it'll put everything together.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Bye. Bye. We love you.